Hi everyone. It's not often I get on here and I do impromptu lives, but I thought today I would because there's been a theme popping up, well, with most of my clients now over the years, but in the last week it's popped up a few times and I wanted to actually talk about it. So if you're a parent who struggles with morning or evening routines, then this might be for you. So there seems to be a pattern when I'm working with parents around wanting to alter the morning routine or make the morning routine easier or the evening routine easier. And I get it. It's one of the most common complaints or concerns or challenges that parents face and that they are speaking to me about. But what's interesting is that there seems to be a pattern when I'm working through this with parents, and I wanted to share it with you just in case it helps you in some way. So usually a parent will tell me that they want to improve the morning or the evening routine. Okay, the morning, especially before school, or evening around bedtime, probably around bedtime. And they're extremely, extremely exhausted, really, really exhausted. They got nothing left in the tank, nothing. Done, dusted. And so when I start to ask a few more questions, I don't do all the work. The parent will realize this themselves, but often what the parent realizes is that one, we go into where's the exhaustion coming from and what actually fills your tank. When was the last time you filled your tank? A really long time ago. Haven't really been looking after myself. And then the second thing that they realize is that I ask them, has something worked in the past, or has it been different in the past where it felt better, where it felt good? And they'll often say, yeah, there was a brief period where something worked, and I'll ask them what it was. And then they will say, but I don't often stick to it. I find it hard to stick to those routines or stick to those boundaries because I'm just so exhausted. I'm tired. I don't have the emotional capacity to deal with any resistance or the meltdowns. So I might find it easier to put a show on. I might find it easier to give the tech. I might find it easier to give the bad brekkie or whatever it is for you, whatever it is. And what's interesting then is when I ask, well, what is it then that would make all of the difference? And of course we've got, well, I'd really love to have the energy to stick to the routine because my children really, really love routines. They respond well to the routines. So we have a catch-22 then. And it's interesting because we often don't make the connection that having your alone time and caring for yourself will actually create ease in flow and in so many different areas of your life, and including the routine setting with your kids and sticking to the boundaries and sticking to the routines. So And usually there's reasons why we self-sacrifice ourselves and that we don't look after ourselves. And usually we'll say it's time pressure. Usually there's the guilt, right? Mum or dad guilt. I feel bad for taking that time for myself. I feel like I should be doing other things. I feel like I should be getting prepared for the next day, right? We're always thinking ahead. You're always thinking ahead. What to do to make tomorrow easier. And yet, because you're doing that, you're trying to make tomorrow easier. You're trying to predict what your children need and foregoing what you require to increase that energy level. All we're doing is repeating the cycle of having no boundaries or not sticking to the routines because we're too tired, and yet that's the very thing that's going to make all the difference. So usually when I work through this with parents and we figure out the first strategy or the first way to get that tank full of yours or more full, the nourishing task, that's the soul and body and mind nourishing thing that will make all the difference to you, that is solely for you, that is not got to do with parenthood, that doesn't have to do with your children taking care of them. So we need to increase your energy first, because often when there's such an extensive period of time where you're self-sacrificing or you're ignoring the needs that you have, then the resentment starts to build. So I was talking with a client yesterday And there's so much resentment there because she just feels like she's self-sacrificing all of the time to try and help her son with the anger that he is currently facing, right? So we've got an empty tank trying to hold space for an angry child, never going to work. And you can have all of the parenting strategies in the world. You can have all of the child strategies, parenting strategies, and they simply will not work unless your foundations are okay first. That's such an important point to make. So first step, how do we fill your tank? And it seems so cliche, I get it, right? Self-care, I get it. But it's so necessary. It is the one ingredient with every client that I work with that makes all of the difference. Sometimes I never need to go into child behavior strategies or parenting strategies because all we need to do is get that tank full, and we need to have that soul nourished. So the resentment disappears and the emotional energy is there. And when the emotional energy is there, we have aha moments. There's space now to see that child in front of you, to meet their needs in that time, because we're not in survival mode. So you come first every time, even though it feels like you should be putting your kids first. Then the second thing is make a decision on the routine. Make a decision. What is going to be the change? What will it be? And stick to it. And when you combine those two, then things start to feel a little bit better. They start to feel easier because you're honoring yourself and that you've made a decision with the routine. So sometimes the confusion and the uncertainty and the overwhelm is simply because we don't have a clear plan. Oftentimes I'm working on just creating the plan, just the plan. And the overwhelm that was at the start of the session disappeared after that 1 hour session with me, gone, simply because we have a really clear plan. I know what my next step is. I know what it is. Inside of the million thoughts that I've had in my mind all day, now I can just focus on these 2 steps. Now the nervous system can calm, now the mind can calm, and now we're ready. Now we're ready to deal with what parenthood has in store for you for that day. So let me know if that helps you in any way, or that's something that you've already worked through, or that's something that you're beginning to realize. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in whether this resonates with you or this has applied to you now or in the past. Let me know. And I might pop on here for some more lives as we go along. Bye for now, everyone.